Hi all and welcome back to the channel. Today we're covering another really interesting topic in Solidity, and that is inheritance. So what do we mean by inheritance? So inheritance essentially means how can we get the code in one contract to into another contract by means of a parent-child relationship. So as you can see here, we have two contracts, contract B and contract A. If we deploy contract B, we can see it is completely blank. Now, what we want to do is we want to get the code from contract A into contract B. And how do we do this? One way certainly is to just copy and paste, and this will certainly work. And that's one way of inheriting the code, and we can go ahead and edit this. But this isn't really the most efficient way. And what we want to do is we don't want to reuse our code. So what we're going to do is create a parent-child relationship where contract B inherits all the code from contract A, and it's a child of contract A who is the parent. So to do this in Solidity, we use the keyword contract. A, B is contract A, and we can, if we save this and we deploy contract B, we can now see that all this code is available to us. We have our example function, which returns an example string, as we can see from the output here. We have our full public state variable. We have our integer. All of this is present in contract B now. And similarly, if we want to extend this a little bit, create another example, we can do this. So if we redeploy the contract, we can see that our BB variable is now present along with all the code we inherited from contract A. Okay, great. Now we have the basics down of inheritance. What we're also going to do is we're also going to have a look at constructor functions. So we're going to create a constructor function for contract A. We're going to give it some input. It's going to be a string it's going to take for its input. For those who don't know, a constructor function is essentially a piece of code that runs whenever a contract is created, and it's only run once. So for this constructor function, we're going to assign our state variable foo to our input for the constructor function. So we're going to call it in, and we're going to save this. Now, as you can see, this causes a compilation error. So if we go in and see what this is. Okay, so the problem here is that seeing as contract A is the parent of contract B, we need to pass in some values for the constructor function. So we can do this a few ways. We can actually do this when we're just initiating the contract. So we can pass in a value. Let's just say xxx for this example, and when we run this, and if we deploy our function, we can see that our foo variable is now assigned to the string xxx. So we're actually passing in our constructor input here, and this input is being assigned to the foo variable as per our code down here. Now there's also another way of doing this. So we can actually create a constructor function in our second contract. We're going to give this an input as well. We're going to call this underscore in B. And what we're going to also do is we're going to leave this constructor function blank, but we're also going to pass in a reference to contract A. And this is going to reference our input for our original contract B constructor function. Okay, so if we save this, we'll delete this instance of the contract, and we actually want to deploy. Hold on, we have a little bit of an error. So, okay, sorry, just a little bit of a typo. So if we save this, and we can pass in our variable for the second contract B. So we'll say foo bar, and we deploy this contract. We can now see that the foo variable is now assigned to the value foo bar. So essentially what this does is when we're deploying the contract, we're looking for the string input, and this string input is being passed up to the parent function constructor function and being assigned to the foo variable. So that is pretty much our video for Solidity single party inheritance, single contract inheritance, should I say. One further thing we want to do is the concept of overwriting. So let's say we have a look at our example function here, and we want to create our own custom example function. So we're going to change the output. Now if we try and save this, this won't work. So to actually do this, we need to include the overwrite keyword. Sorry. Sorry, it's actually the override keyword for our child contract, and in our parent contract we need to include the virtual keyword. What this essentially does, it's telling Solidity that this is a child contract, and what we're doing is we're overriding the functionality, and this is as expected. So if we save this contract now, we can deploy it. Doesn't matter our input. And if we look at our example function, we can see that the string output is contract B, not the example stir that was actually present when we were first deploying it, and it wasn't overwritten. So we defined it slightly differently, and we used the override keyword along with the virtual keyword in parent to allow us to do this manual overriding. So that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I hope this was useful, and as always, if you could please like and subscribe, it really does help the channel out. And thank you very much, and I will talk to you in the next one.